Hello, hello. How's it going, everybody? Reese, I see you in the chat already. I forgot to turn on my chat before, so it's not showing up. But how's it going? How's it going? iOS today. I didn't wear my turtleneck. I'm not quite the part, but we are going to. I've got a dual stream PC set up, and we're gonna try some Xcode in iOS with Tauri. It is. I'm pretty much starting fresh. I literally installed Xcode, and I posted it out in Blue Sky a little bit earlier. Hopefully everything's installed correctly and working. We'll find out. And I guess the upside here is that dual stream PC means I can restart my Mac if I really, really need to. So we've got time and space to work on it, and we're gonna make our way through it. Hopefully we will get to the point where we can start to play around with and explore plugins. I don't know if we'll put in like a custom plugin, but at the very least we're going to shoot to try to like add one of the plugins in there. Interesting. So I'll also along with dual stream setup here, I am. Oh, interesting. It doesn't like that I am streaming at 1440p. Very curious. I don't know that I can I don't know that I can fix that though on the fly. Why does it care? Sorry, slight digression here. I think it should be fine. The expected visio. So I switched from, we should be getting on the stream the ability to go up to 1440p. I mean, it looks like it's working. It looks like it's working, but I don't know. It's complaining at me. Well, let me know if you notice anything, and we'll roll with it. Yeah, I don't know. Huh. I have no idea why it's complaining. It should work. Let me know. Let me know if there's an issue. Hopefully, we can figure it out. Okay, so what we are working on is iOS. We are starting from a fresh project. I can flip on over here. We have CLI, and I have started going through the prerequisites just to make sure that I install a bunch of the things that aren't interesting to watch on stream. Like, I mean, you can watch the bar go up on your own computer. It's a pretty big download. So if we look at the Tauri app prereqs, I went through the system dependencies in Mac. It uses Xcode, so I got the Xcode from the developer store. I already had Xcode Select installed, I believe. I'm pretty certain I did. But we want to, we needed the iOS simulator. So I went through the install of Xcode from the Mac App Store. I updated my Rust, which you can see. Oh, no, actually I also did Homebrew. So I just updated Rust. So we should have a current version of Rust. And, I did not add the targets. So we're going to have to do that. But I did I mean, I had a homebrew installed already, but I added Cocoa Pods, which you should be able to see down behind me. It's not worth moving it at the moment. But we do need to, come on. The downside of the two computer setup here is the I'm flipping back and forth between computers way more often than I'm used to. So remembering which computer I'm on is going to be interesting. All right, so we need to do this first. That shouldn't take too long. And then it basically goes into create a project. So that's what we're gonna, after this finishes, we'll go ahead and create one. We are, oh, and I don't think I have this installed, or signed in rather, on this computer, but it's fine. Tauri Playground. We're using this today. It is where we've been, my goodness, that light mode. It is where we've been dumping any like toy apps, testing. It's sort of our playground, as you might see by the name of the repo. I think we're probably just gonna dump in a mobile here, and we're doing iOS today. It's a little bit easier for me to do Android. It was convenient to do iOS today because I took off work. So I got time. But part of it is I do day job stuff on this computer, and I need to kind of clean it before we go live. But that's not the case on my Windows box at least to the moment. So iOS now, Android later. We're going to start with a mobile folder. This is complete, so we're going to go ahead and create a project. I'll click this link. We are, I'm just going to do it with this. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So we didn't have Creatory up on this computer yet, at least not through Cargo. And we're installing that, and then it should run the Creatory app. We'll make a mobile project. And we're going to go through these steps. And also let me know if like the font sizes are too small. With the bump in resolution means that all of my previous settings, well, bump in resolution and different computer. So there's multiple variables here. That means it could very well be that the text size is going to be too small. We're just going to call it mobile. We'll say com dot sure. And what I guess we'll do, I don't think we're going to do much for the front end. Everything in this playground, we've pretty much used npm because it comes as the default. I'm tempted to do vanilla, but I'm gonna just fall back to my my easy default here. I don't want to mess around too much with the JavaScript side of things. There is and Reese, I saw you in the chat here. Now that you need to learn Rust, you can get pretty far without having to touch Rust. Depending on what you're doing, you might need to. If you're writing plugins, you might actually end up doing more of that work in Swift or Kotlin, at least in the context of mobile. So you might actually not need to learn any Rust. It would be helpful to know just a little bit, at least where you've like dipped your feet into it. But don't feel like you need to go through the whole, Rustling book or anything. I'm definitely a fan of just-in-time learning. Don't start learning the thing until you know you're going to need it. Do the work to understand when you're going to need it. So work through and understand it at a high enough level that you can decide to make that choice to actually learn what you need to learn. But don't feel like you need to be an expert in Rust to, jump into anything in Tauri, really, honestly. Okay, so this is done. We have a couple notes here for iOS development. That would be us. We're going to need to do that. We do need to do an install and probably an init first, though. So we're going to go ahead and do a cd and install. And then I'm going to go ahead and open up this folder. So I've got the main Tauri. I've got the main Tauri window open, or the Tauri playground repo open already. But if the way Rust Analyzer works, if you're using VS Code at least, it seems to only go like one level deep. So in this case, it's a polyglot monorepo of there's lots of folders in here. And there's like really no top level project. So it's sort of an odd case or something that Rust Analyzer shouldn't be handling or expecting. So go into the actual folder is what we're going to do here. And then we're going to do the npm run Tauri iOS init. And then we're going to see. I don't know if I need this open. I think not. Okay, so it did note that I had CocoaPods. So it looked like it was trying to do the step to install that for us. Hi. Are you saying hi to the stream? Coming up. We don't need that tail right in the camera, but come say hi. Now we're gonna do the oh yeah, hi. You are very needy right now, aren't you? Okay. You gonna help me out, or are you going to She hasn't wanted attention all morning, and right now is the time. All right, so we have that initialized. Then we're gonna do and it looked like it was xcodegen present false. So it did install something. It checked and installed something for us. We did have CocoaPods. We might need to add that to the docs. But if it's doing it for us, then I don't know. Now we run and cross our fingers. Yes, okay. I was about to say that this does run the iOS simulator, or like kicks it off or starts it up. It did say that it failed to detect the connected iOS simulator devices, and that is not unexpected, I think, because I've never run it before. So I'm suspecting that I need to do. I'm expecting that there's like defaults in here that we need to set. Okay, so to develop on physical phones, you need the host option. I don't have an iOS device. Well, we've got an iPad, but not which I suppose is something we could potentially play around with. There is a simulator for it. See, iPads. Oh, interesting. 10th gen. Is 10th gen the M1? I'm not certain. But I think we're gonna stick with iPhone for right now. I don't know. We're gonna try running it again. So now this thing is open. Whatever this thing. What is this? That is Xcode. Okay. Failed to request device list. Command. Okay, so there is a command here. We're gonna give that a shot. I have no idea if we need to do anything more with that. Symctl list JSON devices available. Unable to find utility symctl. Not a developer tool or in path. Okay, that could very well be. So we're gonna go ahead and reopen it. And just make sure that we have a new session which has it in the path. So that might have been our issue. Let's go ahead and run that. Unable to find utility. Interesting. Now I am curious. Whoop, I didn't actually mean to hit the build failed. Oh, interesting. Okay. I meant to click that like down arrow. Okay, we got a branch. I don't know what any of these icons are. I'm trying to do the hover over them. Issues, tests, debug, breakpoints, report. Close and open, sure. Oh. And it seems like we've got manage run destinations. I don't know. Okay. Got it. So these are the simulated devices that we can choose from, and it looks like we can potentially add more. That's kind of neat. Hello, kitty. All right. We ran into our first roadblock here. Let's go ahead and go to, like, this could very well be a setup thing. This could be a new issue or something. Symctl unable to find. This looks. Hi. This looks very similar. Okay, got it working after running this. Got it. So it's not necessarily an M1 error, which happens to actually be what we're running this on right now. They are using bun, which is interesting. Unable to find utility device CTL. Okay, so we don't. And that, like, we're also on Xcode 16. I don't know if that makes a difference or not. Unable to find. Okay, let's try the Xcode select. And I did mention before that I think I have it on this computer. I don't know what version or anything of it is though. So this makes sense to me. I don't know that I don't know that we actually care if we're using like the Xcode select. So like Xcode select, as I understand it, is sort of like a pared down version of some Xcode tools, which you need for some pieces of like the process. Like if you're doing Mac Tauri apps, then Xcode select would be sufficient. If you're doing anything more than that, where you want to simulate devices, then that's what you need the full feature Xcode. So I believe this switch is saying, use the Xcode select command line tools that install with that, or use the ones from like the literal Xcode app. So let's give the other command a shot again. There we go. That looks a lot better. I'm not sure how to make that clear in the docs. We'll kind of put a pin in that for the moment, but let's try rerunning it again, and then we'll go from there. So we're gonna run dev again. It seems to imply that everything is working. Well, let's do the pro. Why not? So it's starting the simulator. Okay. This looks good. It looks to be setting a bunch of environment variables, which is not unexpected. Ooh, a lot. Holy cow. Execute, built in. And I'm assuming that this is taking a hot minute to connect, because it's like the first time I'm doing this. It seems to be working though. Okay. So now if we go into what was that? Hi. Cat is attacking my sweater. Okay. I mean it. Ooh. Okay. Interesting. Is it like setting stuff up? I have no idea. Oh, there we go. Okay. Now we get some Tauri stuff. So it looks like it's connected, and Tauri is executing some scripts. I'm pretty sure this is all like a, first time setup type thing, but we will find out. There is, as far as I know, there is still the like hot reloading pieces sort of built into this. So there should be incremental rebuilds and hot reloading. Guess while it's doing that, why is this? I really do not know why it does not like my stream settings. First Tauri user in Korea. I doubt it. I would be surprised. I would be surprised if there weren't folks. I think we actually had a on V1. Did we? What's our translations so far? Is that this is not remotely close to my language, so is that no, ZHCN, that would be Chinese. I think on V1, I want to say we had a either talk of or Korean translation in the past. Okay, so there's two ZHCN. Okay, so it's not, Chinese simplified. That tracks. KO. Help me out here. Is KO Korean? I think it is. I think it is, right? I don't have a. Oh, here. Wait. Oh, no. I'm on a different computer. uh, we will switch. I'm used to streaming and developing on the same computer at the same time. So I can usually just like drop links, copy paste. Obviously V1, like you said, you're using V2, but there is some history there. My cat is attacking my sweater, and that is not a toy. Come say hi. Are you doing that for attention? Hey, oh wow, I was not paying attention. Okay, sweet. So this seems to be working. So if we say chat, greet. Hello, chat. All right. You're very satisfied with Tauri. I'm happy. Can we just highlight? Did I break the highlight? Yeah, there we go. Boom. Sweet. Happy to hear that. Also, thanks for stopping by. I can't remember if I said it. Okay, so this is working. Do we have anything else in here that we need to look at or address? Signing identities, code sign stuff, entitlements. Rust code will be run during every build because the option to run the script phase based on dependency analysis unchecked. Okay. That's a little bit weird. I'm curious what that means, but we might just come back to that later. Filtering the log and data using subsystem equals this. Okay. So we should be able to now change something. Let's check out that hot reloading that I said that existed. If we go into like our app here, we can say H2 trying out the hot reload. So now, there we go. What if we change? What if we change something in here? I guess we don't actually need to change anything in here, but if we go here and just hit save, I think that's gonna, like, that's still, we didn't actually change anything, but it sees a file change, so it's going to try a reload. We got a bunch of Rust changes. It did say it compiled, so we got the compilation. It's kind of interesting that it resets these variables every time. Sort of destroys the usefulness of the terminal there. But all right. Okay. I think that is a complete reload. If we can get past all these exports here. Yeah, so the last thing it said was succeeded deploying app. So was that the last one? Oh, it must have like replaced it, but I think that like deploying app was about the last of the yeah, like I was looking for this, filtering the log data using subsystem. So here, let's change so this says hello, and then the name you've been greeted from Rust. after our reload. Let's do an actual change. We'll get a full reload. Then we'll be able to, I don't know if we need to close and reopen the app. I'm curious if we need to. So that's the bit that I want to try. Okay. Ooh, I was about to say, it seems like it's getting a little faster here. So if we say hello again. Okay. It did not seem to reload. And I am honestly not sure how to get it to. Done is the typewriter. Oh, we got a sort of a weird things. So that bet's not reloading. If we do a change in here, trying out the hot reload again. So we got the Vite HMR update that says that things again. Okay. It's definitely not like hot reloading the backend here. I mean, not the end of the world. I just need to figure out how to, I don't think we need to stop the simulator every time, but I don't know. So like, come on. I don't know the gestures on, here we go. I do have a trackpad. So I am using the magic, whatever they call it. I don't remember. That's actually what I use daily. Part of me loves it. Part of me does not. The way I gesture, I tend to get a little crampy towards the end of the day. I don't know that I had that with the mouse, but you know, it is what it is. Testing. There we go. So we need to do that and then that to get it to reload. At least as far as I can tell. That's not the end of the world. The simulator keeps running, so we just need to like reload the app itself. There might be some other shortcut that I'm unaware of, but I don't know of that offhand. And we can change like orientation and stuff. So here, like if we rotate right, there you go. And apparently this does not have the, oh, there we go. Oh, the gestures don't work. Weird. So like I'm doing a 2-finger scroll. Doesn't work here in the scrolling. That's awkward. Okay. We are gonna rotate back left, and now oh, hey, geez. Scared me. She's looking for attention here, clearly. Yes, hi. Okay, are you better now? Are you gonna are you not gonna maul me? All right, I did want to let us double check. Okay. I'm still not sure why my settings are wrong, and it's got me a little bit worried here. Let me oh, come on. Too many hi. Got me a bit worried. But it seems like it's going fine, right? Nobody's having any issues. I am curious like what the delay is. It doesn't seem like, at least in the viewing thing, the little command, whatever you call it, it seems fine. I don't know. If anything seems off, let me know. If you can't hear or the stream is bad, I guess let me know. I don't. It's giving me errors and warnings, but as far as I can tell, it seems fine on my end. I suppose I could check what's the, let's see, appearance. I mean, I think it's fine. Yeah, like I can't change my settings now while I'm streaming. We'll see. Hopefully it all works out. All right, so this is working. We have an app with the basic Tauri setup. I think the next thing I want to do is play around with plugins. These aren't all the plugins. These are the ones at least the ones that are in the if we go to the overview. Features and community resources. Yeah, okay. So these are the ooh, support table. This is nice. I didn't, either this is new or I never happened to scroll down this far. So we have a handful of plugins which are only Android and iOS, and we have some that like HTTP across the board has got support. So we could play around with like notifications. That might be something to play around with. I don't think any of the other ones are going to be particularly interesting. Like the stores would be useful, but I don't know that it's going to show us any. I mean, we played around with it on a desktop, and functionally it'll should be the same. We have a bunch of asterisks. What is hover to see notes? Is the hover not working? I don't think the hover is working. Interesting. Doesn't appear that oh, that's bright. Let's put that back. you can actually see it on my on my face cam. It's very bright. So barcode scanner and biometric, geolocation, haptics, NFC. I'm kind of curious. Like, so some of these would be interesting to play around with. Really? Deep Link is I thought Deep Link also was on Android and iOS. I guess not. Oh, there we go. Now, I guess I just need to partial support. Runtime Deep Link registration is not supported. Okay. So if we look at Deep Link on iOS here, and we wait for the hover, so the registration at runtime is not supported. If we set it up within the settings, then it would be. That's fine. Let's try the notifications. We'll try notifications, then maybe we'll play around with like, I don't know that the biometric would be easy to demo. Prompt the user for biometric authentication. I have no idea what the barcode scanner is going to look like on the simulator. So partly out of curiosity, we might try that one too. But then I kind of want to depending on how the barcode scanner works, we might want to dive into that a little bit. Hey, thanks for stopping by, Pelican. You wonder how Tauri can be compared to Cordova. For me, it looks like Tauri and Cordova is solving problems in the same way. I think it's valid to say that there are some similarities. As far as I understand, Cordova is using a web view. I don't know the specifics around what web view they're using or how they're handling it these days. It's been a while since I looked at it. So within Tauri, and you might be more familiar with Cordova, so maybe you can fill in a little bit of the blanks. But the setup within Tauri, yes, Tauri does also use a web view. It uses the system web view on iOS. It would be WebKit. On Windows, it's WebView 2, and on Linux, it is WebKit GTK, I believe. It's been a while. It's been a while since I had to look back at that or remember that off the top of my head. So those are system web views. We're within Tauri. And you can look at the lower libraries that are implementing this. There's Rye and there's Tau, and Rye handles the web view, like the web view setup, and then there's Tau, which does the like windowing and the Chrome around it, which is a little bit more desktop, I guess. But that same code is used on mobile too, as far as I'm aware. I don't know offhand if Cordova does desktop and mobile, so that might be a bit of a differentiation there. One of the things that we're exploring within Tauri, though, is with the setup in Rye, we're not specifically committed to only working with the system web view. There is wrong mouse. If you look at the release of V2, we have a roadmap at the bottom. Yeah, mostly mobile done with Cordova. That was sort of what I recalled offhand too. Especially on Linux, the experience, WebKit 2 GTK, the experience working with the on Mac and on Windows, the system web view is more closely controlled. On Linux, we're sort of like bundling in Linux into a single group, but like there's many flavors of Linux. And that attachment to a specific web view is not nearly as strong. So the experience working with WebKit 2 GTK as like the system web view is not nearly as great as in the other targets, because they have more direct control over that system web view and delivering of that. Like Windows is very much supporting WebView 2, because they're also using it in all of their apps, as far as I understand. So most of their like Office 365, whatever they call it now, is they're going with the idea of it works on the browser, but then it also works on the app. But that app is using a web view, I'm assuming, so they can share some code. that experience isn't as great on Linux. So one of the things that we're looking at is, and I'm personally most interested in looking at servo. Is that? Should we make it a little bit bigger here? So rather than using like the system web view, actually bundling in a web view with your distributable. That's how Electron works. So it is bundling in CEF, Chrome embedded. So there are downsides, but there are upsides. With the ability to have options, though, it lets you choose what combination of upsides and downsides you prefer. I think Cordova is in the same vein of like React Native, where it can draw and handle most things in the actual web view itself. But then if you need to, you can write Kotlin or whatever equivalent of their system code is. Within Tauri, you can do Swift or Kotlin if you need to drop into more specific like native implementations of some of these pieces. And that is, I think that's probably the thing that would qualify or differentiate between if it makes sense to build an app purely in native code or if it makes sense to do something with a web view. I don't know that we have performance characteristics or stats or anything like that as far as like a graph that you can look at. But by no means am I going to say that Tauri is going to cover every use case. I think it potentially can handle many, though. And if it doesn't, that's going to be obviously something that we continue to work towards. So yes-ish, as far as I know how Cordova works. But I'm definitely not qualified to give a very great comparison because I'm just not. I haven't looked at Cordova in ages. Yeah, and I think Cordova has definitely gotten the like that last bit is there. We have a web page. Let's wrap it in an app, and it was sort of the like first to the market for this space. And like you can make awful apps and app experiences in anything. It's not it's not like one specific type of framework is going to be the thing that creates all awful apps. It just enabled folks to make apps. So the quantity of apps and the ease of doing that made it easy for somebody to just like chuck up an app. And I think that's part of what gave there was definitely that stigma with Cordova, like, oh, this is a Cordova app. And you're seeing that a little bit with Electron too. It's not inherently based off of the framework. When you open things up, there's going to be apps that are going to be great and apps that are not going to be as great. So as far as I know, Cordova has sort of worked itself out of that stigma, and I don't think it is nearly as stigmatized, but also I don't know that it has huge use cases. Like the user base, I don't know if that is continues to be large, because there's other options out there now. And like with React Native and folks writing in React, that was a I know when that kind of came in the scene, it feel like it sucked out of the room, all the air out of the room for Cordova. But I'm curious, and so part of the reason that I wanted to play around with this is I haven't actually done. It's been like a long, like years and years since I even entertained the fact of trying out mobile apps. It was just a space that I was interested in, but there's only so much time in a day, and I wasn't interested in it enough to warrant spending the amount of time that would be required. But if something like Tauri allows me to write for multiple platforms, I'll play around with it. But also being part of the Tauri team, being a part of the Tauri team, I am also just curious, like, how does it feel? Like, what are the performance characteristics and such? So I don't specifically have an intention to create a mobile app, like a pure mobile app. But it'll be more like playing around with it on stream. So that like this whole line of questions, I would like to have a better answer for it, if not only for my own volition, and maybe somebody else on the team that's worked with it more might have a better answer. But also that doesn't mean that they worked with Cordova or React Native or anything where they would have a good comparison for that either. So I think the answer is we'll see in time, but there is some crossover. One of the things that I am particularly interested with Tauri is that, and in the mobile space too, you can write your code in the web view. You can have that code and that functionality either be more in the web view, or you could have it in other languages. Some of that you could write in Rust, and writing in Rust would mean that you are able to use more of that code across different platforms. But also it's going to be pretty performant, and you have all the the good things that come with Rust along for the ride as well. But then if you're doing something very specific, like only on my mobile apps do I want to use the camera, it might make sense to drop down into Swift and Kotlin for some of that stuff. So like you have options, and I think that makes at least the setup with Tauri a little bit more unique. You have options in other the other setups too, but the ecosystem in Rust in general just makes me hopeful. Okay, thanks for the question. Appreciate it. So I mean, short answer, yes, if you squint. Long answer is we'll see how much overlap there continues to be. And I'm definitely interested to see where things go. That being said, let us try the notifications. So this is something you can see that there's support for all of the platforms. It does work a little bit different on the mobile targets, because I would venture to guess that folks are a little bit more used to using notifications on their phones. I wouldn't say that there's too many apps on the what do I even call it? I mean, they're a desktop. My Mac is a laptop, so like everything's getting fuzzy. On Windows, Linux, and Mac OS, I would suspect that folks are a little bit less used to using notifications or wanting to enable those. So let's go ahead and add that in here. We're going to stop this. I'm going to just move this down here because it can be behind me. And let's go ahead and add this. We should be fine to just add it directly. Now, using the automatic is going to do a few steps for us. So if that is available, it's nice to use because it handles both the installation for cargo with cargo in your cargo toml, and it sets it up in the actual like plugin initialization itself, as well as handling the installation for it's interesting that we don't actually say anything with, okay, distracting myself. it also handles the installation for the JavaScript side of things. But I also noticed they mentioned here added permissions. We don't actually say anything about that in the manual steps. So it also handles in the web view, we have it. There's more sandboxing around what APIs you can use. So you have to opt into using the APIs for the notification plugin. So that means that if you're installing a plugin and you're only using it for reading, you can leave the right portion of that disabled. So that means that it provides more guardrails around whatever you're not using. Is there any integration with FCM? FCM is, I don't know what FCM stands for. You're gonna have to help me out with that. Yeah, nothing. Firebase. It's been a while since I looked at that, honestly. Firebase cloud messaging. So that would be. Are you asking for notifications specifically? I'm not sure how their setup works here. That's an interesting question, though. We can maybe dig into that a little bit. I'm assuming what it's doing is you can send messages via the SDK or the server protocol. If we look at, let's put a pin on that. I think maybe not out of the box, this plugin might not, but let's put a pin in it. We can kind of use that in our introduction to what it looks like to start to work with your own custom plugin. We don't need to do code. We have it open already. All right, so we should have the plugin. Excuse me. That came so fast I couldn't even mute my mic. We have the plugin installed. We have it added to here. So we should be able to do just one of these examples right away. I think maybe we just copy and paste this in here. What's a little bit awkward is that some of this is like, we're going to do this and we're going to await for send notification. Yeah, like we're gonna await permission. And then like in this case, we're not actually. This relative to app mount is a little bit awkward, and we've done this in we've like worked with this in previous streams where so all the Tauri APIs, they work through using an API on the JavaScript side of things called invoke, and that basically is how it passes messages back to Rust. So then a lot of the work is actually done in Rust, and that's part of what enables having an API both in Rust and in JavaScript, because we're only writing it once. And the front end then is just a signal to that same code path, that same API. But it makes it a little bit awkward with, like, this is sort of a base level thing that you kind of want to have potentially before app mount. And when I say app mount, I mean like this. And we're taking off strict mode here. We always run into weird things because we're doing hacky stuff. So like, I'm going to leave it here because we request permission. Is this? Yeah. I mean, so this is async. We could theoretically request permission there, but it's going to get awkward. So like, I'm just going to ignore that piece of it. And what we're going to do is we're going to assume that you've granted it. This is not production code. Don't do it this way. But that will allow us to just send the notification. And if it fails, then, whatever. You think the only way it will work is to create a Tauri plugin. This will need to work with a kind of service worker. I don't know that we would have to have a service worker, because in some ways the Rust side of things can sort of fill that role. But I do think that you're right that it probably would require a Tauri plugin. But how long are we going? We're about an hour. We'll probably at least look into and maybe potentially dabble with plugins. And we can look at how the plugin for notifications and the plugin for biometrics is set up. And we might see if we can get like a local plugin working for us. That being said, the plugin might not actually need to do too much because Firebase has an SDK. So it might be just a little bit of wiring, but we'll take a quick peek. I'm not sure what the notification plugin is all doing under the hood, because I have not looked at that for mobile. But this has given us it's going to, this top level await might be a problem. That might be a big problem. I'm also not sure how we, let's start this again. I'm not sure what the story around, how do you look at the console? We're on the Pro. All right, 8. So starting, it should be started already, so it should just hook up back to it, which it appears to be doing. That'll help us a little bit with our hot reloading here. I'm actually gonna put it right here because this feels like a good spot. We might need to move this, and I need to figure out a way to debug it. Again, it's been a hot minute since I did any work with this. I don't know if we can see any dev tools here. Open system log, simulate memory warning. The CLI seems to be more simple than capacitor.js. I can't qualify that in any way. I'm glad it feels faster. There are 2 bits to it, and we still get the hot reloading for the front end. And anytime you touch like the Rust side of stuff, you're gonna get like a full rebuild, and you'll need to restart the app. But as long as you have the simulator running, that doesn't seem to take too long. But honestly, I haven't done enough mobile development to have any like fair comparison there. Yeah, I honestly don't. I don't have like how do you look at what the web view is saying? So we'll kill that because it like restarted our server here. I'm okay. So it did actually reload it here. It's throwing an error. Like I know it's throwing an error, but also I don't. Can we see that in any way? I don't know that we can, which is a little bit annoying. We might potentially need to Okay, well, Bastion or Pelican, if you've got any hints, I'm here for them. If you have issues, you can open Safari DevTools. Oh, so like Safari on the Mac. Can we? I have no idea what's in my Safari instance right now. Why aren't you? Come on. We're gonna go. We're gonna do this real quick. Pause. Safari. It seems fine. I don't use it too much. Yeah, I don't see anything that I'm worried about. Okay, so you have a tab called Developer. Develop. Oh, here we go. Okay. Automatically show web inspector. Feels like a nice thing to have. And then I'm guessing if we click on it, there we go. Hey, thanks for the heads up. Cool. Okay, so now if we WebSocket connection failed. Yeah, click to localhost. I think we got it. Right? That doesn't feel helpful. So we might need to, I don't know what, whoop, I don't know what restarting is going to look like. Like if we do that, yeah, it's going to close it, right? But if I click it now, do we get, here we go. Allow. There we go. So the top level await seems to be working fine. So now if we go and we say how, it's going to say hi, Bastion. Greet. There we go. So now that is like a separate notification. Like if we see whole separate thing, it's using the native notification API. Whoop, that, wow, okay. Not what I wanted to do. So what's happening is, I mean, our code is definitely not handling the like failure cases. We are literally asking for permission from app opening, and if you ignore it, then obviously things are just gonna like fail. Like here, this little bit is the intent of this is that we're saving this context somewhere, but we're not actually like passing it down and wiring it up nice. But it works for our purposes here. I'm going to just leave that here. Now, next, we want to take, like, it works. We've done previous streams on the notification library. Functionally, I think they're going to work similar enough that I don't feel the need to like dive into it that much. I do want to though look at the plugin itself and see if we can kind of hone in on a more direct answer for your question, Bastion. So if we look at the plugins workspace, this is within the main Tauri apps repo. The intent of these is that they're going to be generic and in some ways potentially serve as an like a template or a base. The notification library is definitely not going to handle every use case. And I suspect what we're going to end up finding is that you won't be able to use the notification library with the Firebase cloud messaging, whatever they call it, FCM. But you could write a plugin to do that. And you have sort of an example to get going with that. And using their SDK, I imagine it wouldn't be too involved. But that's likely going to be more of like a community effort. It's already a lot of work to maintain these, and in an official capacity, it's a lot if we want to try to support every little instance of these different options. So what we're going to look at is iOS, and we have a few bits in here. There's the package.swift. You're looking at the code of the plugin and check what you can do. Yeah, so there. Let's actually look quick at the Rust side of things. So lib, I think, is going to be where that's sort of the entry point. We are defining, we need to make this bigger, don't we? We're defining a builder new, and then these bits wire up very similarly to the way you would set up and initialize your Tauri app in the Rust side of things. So we get handlers. Same idea as a normal Rust app, or as a normal Tauri app. Setup, sort of same idea. The main difference with the plugin is that we need a way to like include this additional script in there too. So that like this is the piece to push in the script if you have globals enabled. If you don't, then you can kind of skip that and it doesn't matter as much. And when you write a plugin, you can always communicate it through the web view, through the invoke API. Importing a package from Tauri, like one of the /API packages, or excuse me, one of the /API functions, it's effectively just papering over or providing a better dev experience for that invoke API. So having to do this may seem like a lot, but if it's just for you, you can kind of get away with the bare minimum if that's going to be sufficient. But again, coming back to this can also kind of serve as a template. Like all of these bits, I'm guessing are going to be similar. Multi-line, large body, like a lot of this feels like there could be overlap. So you might be able to copy it and use a lot of this code. And here's the mobile. We get a little bit different, we got some additional config targets, and then this bit, we specifically are going down this code path because we need to register separate plugins too. So if you only care about iOS or Android, the mobile RS is where you're going to end up potentially looking at some of the code, and that is pulling in app handle, plugin handle, builder, manager, here, mod, mobile. So it's pulling in the whole mobile API that way. And here, desktop and mobile, it's initializing it. So this mobile init ends up firing off that mobile RS. So it would be fair to say, if you're going to venture down the path of dealing with or writing your own plugin, clearly there's going to be some Rust. Potentially, you won't have to figure out too much, because hopefully some of these plugins, if not meeting your needs, at least serves as as enough of an example or base where you can kind of build off of it. So that being said, real quick. So the IFI is generated, and that's generated off of guest.js. So guest.js, this is the invoke API. So you can see here's the invokes, and we're basically just papering over the fact that it's doing an invoke call and making it nicer, and then attaching it to the window object. So this is the IFI. Basically, if you have it, the globals enabled, it's going to inject the script into your web view. So then you can it'll be available for use without requiring you to import it. But you don't need to do any of this if you're not going to really be handling it directly through JavaScript. Or you might be able to just copy and paste it. Like the API might be very similar. Permissions, a lot of that permission stuff is generated, which is nice based off of your code. But the other bit that I would look at is the command RS. So this is, again, very similar to a Tauri app where you're wiring up these commands and you are doing the command macro. And with that, note these names: is permission granted, request permission, and notify. Now let's go over to the iOS side of things. We have a package.swift. This defines the library. This and configuring and setting up mobile is also the reason that we had to switch to the lib.rs and make our Rust like entry point a lib. But anyways, we have a library, dependencies. We defined a Tauri API. So I think that's all like generated stuff. And then I'm guessing notification.swift is the top level. And we got a bunch of stuff in here. All of this is Swift code. So now you're in Swift. And this would be where, well, are we able to use Firebase cloud messaging? Like likely not directly, but they've got an SDK. We might be able to just use that SDK and wire it up through Swift. So there should be date intervals. So this is all for scheduling. Notification error. Yeah, this is all scheduling. So there might be a different top level one. Notification plugin, I bet you. We'll put a pin in that real quick. Alexi, thanks for stopping by. You just see a white screen when you run Tauri Android Dev. Yesterday you managed it to work and you came back from work and it's again a white screen. So I think it's similar on Android, but it's been maybe actually a year since I touched the Android side of Tauri. We played around with it on stream when it was like in alpha, I think. But with the setup, I'm pretty certain this has a similar situation. But with the setup in iOS, you can't like the dev tools aren't built into the browser. Like you can't see the browser on mobile, right? And that's part of the issue. You're hitting a white screen, which probably means there's an error. You need a way to inspect that error. So you can, but basically like the dev tools is a protocol. And I think both the Android and the iOS simulator and their SDKs have the ability to basically like put that on your local host and communicate over that like dev tools protocol. So we did on iOS, it was, do I have it selected? Simulator, yeah. Now where was it? It was under, where was it under? Services, features. Yeah, you can do the same thing. We'll come back to your question real quick here, but I was trying to show where was it? we just found it, and it wasn't even me finding it. Good. Of course, it's in Safari. So with Safari open, there is a develop tab, and they just show up. So there's a simulator, and you can click this to open up the dev tools for it. And that has that connection there. So I did it again. The app with the web view, like dev tools, is like running into debug mode, similar to what you'd see on desktop. That basically gets like published to your local host, and then the dev tools through Safari are able to connect to that. So you can see here, failed to connect, and then it got a connection, reconnected. So we like this is the actual connection to this. So if we did, here we can do console.log hello from debug. Save. There we go. See, so we get the like debug logs in here. So to answer your question, on iOS, it's only available in Safari. Yeah. That I know offhand now. I think, yeah. And Chromium Plus. So like, it uses the Chrome. Is it Chromium? Chrome. Either way, the Chrome asterisk dev tools, and pretty much any Chromium based browser I think implements those same. You can actually connect the Chromium dev tools to like the node debugger. Like it's in some ways just a generic dev tools setup. So it's, yeah, Arc, Opera, Edge, Chrome, obviously. Any of those that start up the Chrome dev tools would be able to connect to Android. I guess I would probably, search for, how do you connect? Like it isn't specifically a Tauri thing, so I would just search for how do you connect the Chrome dev tools to Android. I think it's very similar where if you open it up, like you get the same helper to make the connection. I'm pretty certain. Like the Android setup brings that along with. Android, yes, Android uses Chrome WebView, and that I think that's part of the reason that like you have to use Safari. I mean, iOS is like enforces any web views to be WebKit. And then everything's built off of Chromium otherwise, so Android just benefits from that. Okay, so back to your question. So you need to include an iOS SDK and Android SDK, then create a bridge to Tauri with your own plugin. Yes, I think that's probably a good representation of what you'll have to do. Yeah. Hopefully you can save a bunch of work by copying and pasting. Some of the code in Swift you might not actually need to do Bastion, because the FCM might actually handle that. There is also the awesome Tauri repo. I would double check that first. Actually, we can probably just do that real quick. Do it live. Why not? We'll do everything else live. The ups and the downs, some of which are rough, but makes the ups better. Let's just search, see if there's anything with Firebase yet. No. So if you end up going down this route and you can't find anything, there are potentially ways that, I don't know that would specifically be something that would make sense to be included in the like official plugins workspace. That being said, I guarantee you're not the only person that's going to want that. So there might be a space to collaborate in some way. If that ends up happening, like this awesome Tauri repo is a way to sort of help that out. And like that's a bit of a digression. it would be nice to support everything and have hundreds of plugins, but the thing with with this plugins workspace, we're already feeling like as a like the Tauri team internally is already feeling like it's difficult to appropriately maintain all of these plugins. There is some benefit in having these sort of tied more directly, because when you do a major upgrade, you can ensure you have like more direct control over and a theoretically better understanding of how those pieces fit together with the plugins, that you can kind of make the updates in tandem. But if you got hundreds of plugins, that's a lot. But also, like, it feels bad to just say good luck. So if you end up having any ideas for a way that we can, it won't be like the Tauri team providing community support, but enabling that, there's always an interest to provide some enablement or provide a shared space or some way to foster that community. But I doubt it would be something that would end up being making sense to be handled by Tauri in an official capacity. Okay, so let's see. We want to look real quick. There should be. We looked at the command RS, right? That is you're doing a command much like you would in a typical Tauri app. And if we look in, so this is notification plugin.swift. I believe, so we have an init plugin. I believe we will find the same on this side. Schedules. Make notification content. So here, like, show notification. This is all I'm presuming would be handled by the Firebase Cloud Messaging SDK. Notification manager, init, show function. Here, request permission. So this, it's not snake case, but request, check, and is there a send request? There's a function batch, show. Show request notification handler. So all those come from the notification handler. What I'm looking for, I thought I would find it faster. Here, save request check. Will present as maybe, but all of these at some point line up with what you've defined in like the command RS. So you are, you're writing a plugin with a little bit of Rust, and that handles the communication from the web view to the plugin, and then the plugin has a little bit of wiring to then set up those commands and wire them up to the equivalent in Swift or Kotlin. So you can kind of look at, the capacitor Firebase messaging plugin might help you out with a bunch of that native. You're probably going to have to do or look at some Rust, but this notifications, this notification plugin might help you with the Rust side of the stuff, and then you're sort of just like wiring up those two pieces together, getting that command lined up with the actual command in Swift. So yeah, if you can't find anything, that's probably going to be the path that you need to go down. And you can do, we've done a few streams. I don't know that I got an immediate example offhand, but we've done a few past streams digging into and like writing your own plugins. Just because it's a plugin doesn't mean that it needs to be like published anywhere. So I would say start off, get it working, and just have it locally. You can have a like a plugins folder or something like that, and it'll work functionally the same, both the JavaScript ecosystem and the Rust cargo side of things handles that all pretty well. So you can kind of like incrementally do this where you actually I do have an example. We were doing a little bit more with right? Yeah. We were doing a little bit more with the JavaScript side of things and specifically the ifs because I wanted to explore that space for testing specifically. But you can kind of see here that we have a plugins folder. So if you're interested in figuring out how that's kind of wired up, this would be the PR. Obviously, I haven't like finished it off, but functionally, it should give you enough of the like setting up workspaces and such to get an idea of how to wire it together. I don't remember what the previous live stream was for this though, but you can kind of get an idea based off of when I pushed this branch July, so a couple of months ago. Hopefully I named things well that you can find it. but that would be the place where I would look. You can get it started in your own repo. And then when it gets to the point where you're feeling good about it and you would like to potentially work with the greater community on it, that's when you can start figuring out like what does that look like and have those conversations. And that's probably going to be pretty much applicable to any of these plugins. Thanks, Sebastian. In any of the plugins, especially on this list, we're going to have sort of a base implementation. It's either going to be something that is a standard or will be sufficient, or can potentially serve as an example for any of these like services that are providing something similar. So like hopefully it gets you most of the way there. But yeah, I think you're gonna end up wanting to do a plugin for what you're looking at. Okay, so that being said, we have notifications. Those seem to be working. We will then let's look at the barcode scanner. We've had this conversation before. Somebody came in and asked a question about it, like where's the default camera app? Barcode scanner kind of uses the camera already, so we'll be able to try this plugin out and see hopefully like a simulated camera or something. But again, like there's no camera app, so if that's something that you like, if that's functionality you need, it's either going to be a plugin, and maybe it makes sense as something that's pushed up into at least held at a more official capacity, or that might just be a community project. On iOS simulator, you don't have camera access. Okay, I was curious about that, and I had a suspicion that was going to be the case. But we're going to toss it in there because I want to see what that looks like, and I think that could potentially be helpful for other folks as well. So we're just going to add it in here, and that went pretty quick. Now it requires the property list value. Does it do this for us? SRC Tauri. I don't think so. I'm gonna see a video like old TV channel ending. Nice. Yeah, and I guess that's fine too. Like, just to see that like something's working would be cool. I don't need it to actually be a live feed or anything. Default video source. Yeah. Okay. I think it's probably. I mean, camera usage, just sure, fine. And then here's our barcode. Window Drew actually sets the web view to transparent instead of opening a separate view for the camera. And this is the, like, at some point it potentially makes sense. Like if you're making a camera app, it might make sense to go pure native. Like just write it directly in Swift and Kotlin. Because there's so some of these integrations are going to be a little jank, which might be fine for most folks. Like if your app doesn't need it, if you don't need anything, like you just need somebody to take a picture, this might just be sufficient. Okay, so we're going to so this does scan. It doesn't say if it's like async or anything. So I'm just gonna put like a scan button down here. We can leave it outside of the form. I'm gonna just say button, and we'll do an on click, and we'll literally just fire off this thing and we'll see what happens. There's a formats QR code, so we'll see what that looks like. We need scan button. Okay. Or use canvas and use navigator source to display a camera where you want to place, or where you want and to place the camera block where you want. Yeah. Like and I think like potentially too, you could just open up the camera and prompt somebody to take a picture and then upload it. Like it could be like a button just to help you out to do that real quick, and then take you to the like file upload right afterwards. So like there's options, but it's like none of them are going to be an experience where I think you would want to make like a camera app doing this kind of stuff, because you're still like it's effectively like shelling out to the camera app. I mean, you're also contending with like private APIs and whatnot. And I know with iOS for sure, and I think Windows has some of this too. And actually, I guess Android likely as well, where it's a private API, and if you use it, you won't be able to upload it to the store. So even if you write some of this in Swift, you might not be able to actually use all the APIs that like the camera app, the default camera app he actually uses. But okay, so we got this. We should be able to we're not running anywhere. I was like, wait a minute. Okay, we will again use 8. Let that do its thing, and then we should get a, here we go. Yeah, lovely. This did reload already. I don't know if we need to wait for the connection, but I'm going to just press it. We're going to see what happens. Nothing. Let us, yeah. Oh, okay, here we go. Unhandled promise rejection, barcode scanner.scan not allowed, plugin not found. So default permissions here. You must modify the permissions. So when we use the automatic install, it didn't actually update our permissions, which is probably fine. Okay, barcode scanner default. This permission set configures which barcode scanning features are by default exposed. Okay. So the default uses or enables these. So it allows you to request permission and then allow scan. Oh, so we don't have a, so this will kick off a scan, but that's not going to allow us to confirm. So there's potentially some more work that we need to do that isn't actually noted here. Is this readme current? Let's double check that real quick. We can double check to make sure that it is in our lib. Yes, here. That's interesting. I'm gonna assume that means, or that we just need to reload. Here, we can actually try it real quick. Let's just reload the window. Sometimes some of these language servers get stuck, especially after an install. So that might just not be current. It does appear to be throwing an error though. We might need to come back to that. You can see here we have a capabilities. There's a default and a mobile. And that's nice because we can say, I guess we don't specifically have anything in here. Where does that get wired up? Mobile lib run. Is that a naming thing? I'm pretty sure. Oh, here, platforms. Okay. So it is just looking for any files within the capabilities folder. I was like, I know there's some way that you can specify. So this is the default. There's no actual. Here, let's open these side by side. There's no actual list of platforms here. So this is going to be permissions that are applicable to all. So default literally means applicable to all in this case. We're allowing notifications on all platforms. But here we can specifically, as a separate file, opt into saying that these permissions are only applicable to a certain platform. So in this case, we only want the barcode scanner to be given permissions on Android and iOS. So we can have a bunch of files and basically be as explicit as we need to, depending on whatever your use cases are. Which is nice because then we can disable permissions for the systems that aren't going to be making use of them. Which helps, just lock it down as much as you can. Yeah, it does all of them. So it extends. I don't know if I would say. I'm not actually certain what the merge order is. So if you deny in one and allow in another, it might just throw an error. I haven't actually tried any of that. I don't think it. I don't know if I would qualify it as it extends because it doesn't have to be named default.json. It just grabs all the files in that folder and smashes them together into one permission file that is, basically every operating system gets its own permission file. And part of that separation ends up coming from, using the platforms. And every window it does too. So like these are permissions for the web view. So you can have a permission set only for a specific window. So you can really lock pieces down to better harden your security profile. But I don't know how. I don't know what the merge order is. That's a good question that I want to answer at some point. I don't know offhand, but I don't want to digress on that at the moment. But it does merge them together. It's not specifically a base one with extensions. I think it's some merge logic. Okay, debug. So we have is permission granted. I'm guessing we probably need something similar. So we can do a We're going to say plugin barcode scanner. So it doesn't have is permission granted. So what does it have? Okay, yeah, request permission. So it has a request permission. We'll say request permission. Is this big enough? Yeah, same name it imports. What I was doing is I was hovering over it. So originally I had is permission granted. I don't always like these pop-up things, but here you can see it doesn't have any exported member. So that's what I was checking. So we have two errors actually happening. We have a duplicate identifier, which is what you called out, and then no exported member. So this is what I was checking. I wanted to make sure that it actually exported it. But what we can do is we can say request permission for barcode scanner. Why not? Just make it really big. Now, what is this saying? Yeah. Oh, request permissions. Ooh. Okay, interesting. Now let's say await this. Kind of the same deal. We're not error handling. Like, don't do this for production code. We're probably going to need a hot reload here. Or whoop. Let's just reopen the whole app. Go like this. Then there we go. So we'd like to access the camera. Yep. And we previously granted permission for notifications. So the notifications still should work despite us actually saying that, hey, the, like, the how long are we into the stream? Almost 2 hours. I'm starting to feel it. The permissions is something that you've allowed, and it will continue to stay allowed. So similar to when you install an app, you're allowing that permission and it gets tied to the settings. So you could go into like your app settings to be able to turn that back off, and we'd see the question show up again. But once you've accepted it, it like stores it with that. So I'm presuming as long as our simulator session stays valid or current, it will continue to like the permission will be set, and we don't need to enable it every time. So if we do the hello chat, we should see the notification there. Yep. Now let's try the scan, I guess. So we've accepted it already. Curious. What hey, look at that. Paul, thanks for stopping by. Good to see you. Fun. Okay. What did we get? So we accepted the permission. I don't know if we need to do anything more. Parent process, launch, course, and dispatch queue. Barcode scanner plugin. So Tauri event loop. Well, okay. I'm guessing if we hit that again, it's gonna fail. And let's double check our docs and see if I missed any other steps. Bogdan, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by as always. So we have our plist file. On the iOS barcode scanner, plugin requires this property value, which describe why your app needs to use the camera. Okay. And that should be here, which we added. I don't know if, like, it doesn't specifically say we need to reference this in any way, but like, capabilities, we did double check this. So like that should be fine. We have this permission right here says allow scan and allow cancel, of which the default permission is doing those. We are requesting permissions. That did come up and it seemed to be fine. Okay, now let's double check. We have barcode scanner. It is specifically configured to only be built or bundled for Android and iOS. It is labeled new, so it had to fail. Yeah. And we've mentioned this in a few streams, and actually I made a video on Tauri v2. The nice thing about plugins is now a plugin can kind of be developed at a separate cadence from the major Tauri versions. So like a plugin could potentially in a single version support multiple like Tauri majors if those APIs aren't changing. It also means that each plugin can potentially be at a different like amount of finished relative to everything else. So just because it's in this list doesn't mean that like it's inherently as stable and reviewed as the other plugins and main Tauri repo out there. So I'm like this has worked out at one point. I know it's worked at one point, but I'm guessing that we like it says version 2. Let's double check this. There is a Tauri plugin barcode scanner in net, and it says failed to resolve use of undeclared creator module. This could be because it is like Rust Analyzer is running with a specific set of targets. We are specifically saying here when target OS is Android or iOS, do it. This error isn't necessarily the error that you'll get when you're running it, because this error is coming from my language server, which is Rust Analyzer. You can see down here. It is running in the background. It does compilations all the same. It has its own like default set of configuration. So when it does a build, it's like using those default settings. When we run yarn Tauri iOS dev, it's running like internally cargo processes, but it's specifying specific targets, of which one of those is iOS, in which case this isn't actually going to be throwing an error. So if you're doing mobile dev with Tauri and you see this, don't presume that it's actually an issue. Like this failed to resolve. That is specifically because of this. We're saying only do it based off of those two operating systems. So like we could actually do this. We would get Rust Analyzer rebuilding down there. We might actually get an error because it might not. Well, we got all the configuration targets and everything. So you can see that this error has changed. Okay, yeah, Rust Analyzer finished. This has changed. This is now throwing an error. Cannot find function in net in crate. This might actually be a valid error. Let's look at the manual step. So configuration mobile, setup. It does still say that it's using a net. It is specifically using this. By doing it in the setup, we can pass a flag that says, only do this when you have a mobile app. And we have those configuration attributes already specified at the top. So I'm going to, I think in theory this would still work fine. Info can't, actually these will need to be at the end. So let's do this. It will, so see, we can see here inactive code, because our configuration directives right now mobile is disabled. So we don't have mobile enabled, and that's based off of whatever your language server is telling it. So that is informed by what the configuration attributes for your language server, which again is not necessarily what's being run when you run npm run Tauri iOS dev. That's really long. So just because your IDE is telling you some things, don't necessarily believe it, just because of that situation. That being said, we should have gotten a rebuild now because we've changed this. I don't know if this is changed, but we can give it a reload and just see what happens. I'm going to, where's Safari? Safari, open your thing up. Automatically show web inspector for JS. Like, is there a way to automatically open this? I don't see a way to do it, but it's fine for right now. Okay, so if we hit scan, it did still fail. Breakpoint. Now, our next step is, I'm not seeing anything specifically for, maybe it's not compatible. I mean, that's why I wanted to try it. So this seems to imply, okay, so this sets the web view to transparent. Instead of opening a separate view for the camera, we could try, tweaking that. I don't know what other APIs this scan function supports, but I have no idea what. Like, I don't really. Let's try the base scan. It could very well be something inherently part of that. So that's a hot modular reload, so we don't need to like worry too much about it. It'll restart again. We'll get our localhost context here from Safari DevTools, and we'll hit scan again and see what happens. Okay, so it is killing it every time. It's not necessarily the, something to do with our settings. It could very well be compatibility. Hey, Ellen, good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Shout out. Alan's a good person. Where's my finger? Here. Yeah. If you're interested in Rust, Alan's, your stream on Twitch still, right? Yeah, Twitch. You've been doing a bunch of Rust. You've got a Neapolitan, which is a Rust static site generator, and you've been doing a lot with what's that crate now? Nom, right? If you're interested in parsing, Nom is a cool library in Rust to do that, and Alan is yeah. If that's your cup of tea, you can. I missed the pun. If parsing is your shoot, I missed it. I'm going for it though. If parsing is your fruit of choice, go ahead and nom on that. Don't worry. I get all the eye rolls from my family too. I'm used to it. You'll allow it. Thanks. I never said any of my jokes are good, and I am perfectly fine entertaining myself. You all are just along for the ride. Okay, so next step. It appears that everything is configured correctly. We're kicking that off. I'm not seeing any. I mean, like, it closes immediately. So I don't think there's anything that we can, even if we can keep like the web view open. Where's my Safari? Yeah, that is Safari. Can we, if we open this up, is there a way to just like keep that open? Because that's kind of annoying having to reopen that every time. Automatically show web inspector for JS context. That doesn't seem to actually. User agent show. So this opens it up and automatically connects for us, right? Web inspector. If we go, yeah, I don't see any way to just like open it all automatically or just keep it open. Oh, is there, here, there's a setting menu here. I don't see anything. If you all have any ideas, please share. I would most appreciate it. But opening that up every time, not fun. Web expect. I imagine there's some way to do it, but I'm not interested in trying to track down the magic incantation at the moment. And doing it the long way is not awful for demo purposes anyways. Okay, so next step. We are getting a hard error. I don't see any way to, our web view immediately closes. Our next step, I think, is searching the issues. See if anybody's come up with this issue before. We'll say barcode scanner thread crashed. We'll start off generic. Nothing open or closed. Okay, I don't see anything with that specific. Oh, nice. Barcode scanner compatible also for desktops. I don't see anything. That is jumping out at me. Is there a way to start the simulator beforehand and start debugging in that sim instance? I don't know. So we get this, the simulator has been running and it continues to run unless we, like if we hit close, it'll stop. When we run this, we choose the simulator. It asks us every time. So as long as I continue to select the same simulator, you might be able to set a default too. I haven't looked at it, but as long as you continue to pick the same simulator, it will use that instance. And the thing that's hot reloading is the build and the actual like app. So we could just close and reopen the app for Rust changes, and hot reloading just happens on the fly. So the sim instance stays open. But I don't, as far as I know, the sim instance doesn't have any setup or access to the like dev tools. I could be wrong. If you know offhand, feel free to let me know. I don't think that actually doesn't matter. Mobile, yeah. So like you can look in here and look at the code, but like I'm guessing you don't want to modify too much stuff in here. And I don't see anything that's like jumps out at me as a, you know, look at logs. These are runs. So when I click run, it is running it, but that's separate from like how Tauri's starting it. Is there a way to put in a breakpoint to step through or log something in steps? Not that I'm aware of. We are learning together. I imagine there is. I just have not done enough A, mobile development, and B, mobile development with Tauri to know any of that offhand. Which is part of why we're doing it on stream. Because I wanted to get into it, but also bringing y'all along for the journey can be helpful. Yeah, like I'm not seeing anything in here. So I suspect that it's something potentially like compatibility or something. I mean, we do get like this crash log, but functionally, is it gonna help me out too much? We're barcode scanner plugin run scanner. So we are like, we could probably find that code. I don't know that it's gonna help us. And I guess maybe that's a good place to like poke around a little bit here. Let's see. We have a VS Code folder that came with along for the ride. Public is just our front end asset or our front end build target. We have, here we go. SOC Tauri Gen Apple. It is, so like this info P list, that's not the same one that we've got. These are all generated by running the commands. In here somewhere, I think, is the actual code that's being run. I believe it's basically regenerating this every time. So I don't know what will happen if we actually just change this. But I think in theory we could. Externals. I'm not seeing anything that's jumping out at me though. So like, even if we were able to step through and debug and get a breakpoint, debug, etc., etc., I don't know of a way to change the code on the fly to be even able to check if what we changed is working or not. So this is all libmobile. Yep. I don't see anything jumping out at me. Xcode, mobile Xcode project. Like there might be some bits in here, or we might be able to theoretically go into like one of these. I don't have any clue offhand. Main bindings. Yeah, not seeing other yes. So we got the we can demo that real quick. Bogdan. Here we go. Notification works. See? Notification has definitely seen more attention, partly because it has support for desktop as well, and those like that plugin existed beforehand, I think. This is one of the few plugins that A uses the camera app, and B is only for mobile. So like that's part of the reason we wanted to try it. I wanted to see what it looked like and capabilities. Like this could very well be a did we close this? No, we didn't. Do we see start sim, mobile, start app, panicking? So in the run loop, GS event run modal. So in our code, there's a run scanner. Like we could poke into that real quick. Sources, biometric plugin. There's not much going on with it. And we should see a oh, that's biometric. Ha. I was like, wait a minute, I don't see anything with what I was looking at or what I was expecting to see. Sources. Okay, this was what. Still not too much going on. Not nearly as much as notification, for example. But we've got a plugin, and we should find a run scanner somewhere. Again, I don't know that it's going to be helpful to look at this because I don't know that we can specifically make any actions on it, but scan formats. So if there's no formats, then it's an empty array. And then it appends it, and then it starts running. So it is like it's in libswift core. So I don't think it's specifically anything with this. So I'm presuming that it's erroring out on the start running. So it might be here. Can we test it through is there even like a camera app on this thing? Settings. There's our mobile app. I don't iOS enough to know. Where do they put this stuff now? Where are our apps? Also, like the gestures don't work. I have to like click. So like the things that I would try with my fingers don't work. App library here. Yeah, I don't even see a camera here. So it could be that coming back around to who said that? Bastion. Let's see, iOS simulator camera access. We did grant access, right? It's not possible to access the camera of your development machine to be used as a simulator. Camera functionality is not available. You'll have to use a real device for camera testing purposes. You can only check the photo and video gallery. It might be literally a compatibility issue, and this is just a hard error that we're hitting because there's a built-in assumption that the camera exists. So I think coming back to is it compatible, I think is the question. It would maybe be worth, and I don't have an iOS device to be able to like test it. Well, I say that. Dare I? Please hold. I don't know that it would be worth it. I do have, it's mostly my daughter's iPad. But in theory, does it show up anywhere here? I mean, it's also probably turned off. Where was that? There was like a device list or something, right? Mobile iOS, edit scheme. I don't see it now. Mostly, we did we put what's that? Procreate on there. So I'll dabble a little bit with like Procreate and what's the other one? Affinity, the Affinity suite. So we've got those on there, and she likes drawing too. She's uses Procreate a fair amount too. But I'll grab it and dabble a little bit. I don't know that it's worth it. I think that's basically our answer. We could, like, if you're doing some of these things, you might just need a device, which is unfortunate, but that's sort of the situation with the Apple ecosystem. What is our other so biometric? Oh, here, let's go this new overview thing. If y'all hadn't seen this before, again, bringing this up at the overview page in the plugins, there's a support table. I just never happened to like scroll down this far. I don't know. I didn't even notice anybody added it. So we can do uploads equals stored. I don't think any of those would be particularly interested in looking into. We did notification. NFC is probably going to have a similar situation. We could look at haptics. I think haptics are supported in, like if we look at the simulator, we can do device shake, like we can shake. So we can maybe do something with the haptics. Let's try that out. So I'm going to go ahead and say that we can't work with the barcode scanner on iOS because it's in the simulator. So if we hooked up a real device, then I think it would work. I'm presuming that thread error is basically an uncaught or unhandled exception for literally a camera not existing. All right, so let's go look at the haptic one real quick. And haptics. We don't have a top level button or page for it. So we'll go haptics. It is specifically noted that it's supported only on Android and iOS. We don't have a an automatic way to install it, it looks like. So we're going to go ahead and add it the manual way. So in our cargo toml, we're going to add Tauri plugin haptics. I'm going to go ahead and add it under the same section here because I do only want to handle it for Android and iOS. That's fine. We need to add it in the plugins. I'm going to just grab this little bit here because I'm going to do it in the same way that we have with our barcode scanner. So we're going to do this, but basically this. What this is doing, if you weren't here for it when we first dropped it in here, it is conditionally initializing it based off of the configuration target. I don't know if, I think we need it here too. I think we need it there. But what this is going to do is it's only going to add it as a plugin if, why doesn't it like that? Something's not happy. Oh yeah, I probably gotta install it and stuff. It's only going to initialize it if it's on a mobile target. Could Tauri try to feature detect for plugins to present a nice error? If that is the issue, yes. We could, like, if it's a very so when we start this, let's go ahead and start this again. The unused or whatever. Why is it proc macro Kate? Why I don't. Okay, now it resolved itself. Weird. Okay, so the when we start this, it is looking for a simulator. I think what we can do is, I haven't actually tried this, but in one of these menus, we can define a, like, I'm pretty certain I tried this for Android, and I'm pretty certain that we can do it on iOS as well. Manage run destinations here. You can like wire up devices, so those could work, but you can also create your own simulators. I don't know how that works with this. So like in theory, you should be able to get it working with a real device. Get the whole like Tauri run dev working with it. I don't know offhand, but I would presume that you'd be able to do that. And that being said, I don't know this bits. Like that clearly lines up with this. If we add in another device here, like can we, yeah, no device is found. And you have to connect it via USB cable. Yeah, so that, yeah, I'm not gonna bother with that right now. My setup is complex enough already. where the stream is going out through a Windows box. I'm working off of Mac right now. So like I don't know how these will change. So it might actually, we might have code in here that detects if it's a device or not. If that is the case, and we know in Rust if it's a simulator or not, if this is actually like a hard feature, I don't know how to words are hard. If it's like built into that a simulator can't run a camera no matter what, and it's always going to fail and throw a bad error, we could potentially only, like build something into the Rust side of things, because that Rust should have the context of if we should even try running this or not. And that might be worth it. And yeah, basically if it is the hardware or not. I think I would though say, I was gonna say this should only be a dev time thing though. But maybe it makes sense to, like, is there going to be a case where you don't have a camera? I guess if you don't give it permission, but that would be a different error, I'm presuming. Because we asked for permission and we gave it permission. What I was going to say though is, I would presume it's possible, and that it just hasn't been a big enough of an issue for anybody to care. But in theory, we can implement it either in Swift or in Rust. If we had it in Rust, you could use the the configuration macros to only compile or include that error, like that error handling, if you're doing a simulator. If you're trying to run it in debug mode with a real device, then it would work. Like I'm pretty certain that would be possible. But would you want that in Swift? Would you want that better error handling in Swift? Probably, maybe. Is that like? Is there ever going to be a device without a camera? That's a good question. I was for sure going to say this is a dev time only thing, but now I'm kind of changing my mind, honestly. But either way, I think it would be in theory possible to provide a nicer where and when might be up for discussion. So let's go ahead and do this. We got the dependencies in there. It's stop complaining. It's in the cargo toml. It is not here, so we need to install it. I forgot to do that before I ran this, so we'll do an npm add Tauri apps plugin haptics. That'll go in dependencies, and then we need to drop it in the API. We can start running it while it's doing that, because we'll just get a hot reload whenever that finishes anyways. And in this case, we need it doesn't appear that we need to request permission, so we can vibrate impact feedback, notification feedback. Okay, let's just try it. We're going to put it in the button, and we're just gonna fire them all off in a row here. I'm actually gonna keep some of that there, because what I want to do is grab this. And we're going to put it at, I was going to put it here, but I guess whatever, it's fine. It can be in the HTML. Or no, actually what we'll do is we'll do this. There we go. Now we have that context for future us. We should have these little bits here. We don't want to fire them off immediately. We'll just drop in another on-click button and be off to the races. Button on click and do those things, because we need to make it async, and all the haptic feedback. Now, it'd be nice to put a little CSS in there, but I guess I don't care that much. Class name row. Guess we can say div class name row. And this, we can move this back up to under the form, because it is part of the form here. And then I'll do this and move the div. Yeah, hopefully that looks just a little bit better. Now we should get some hot reloading going on here. Oh, I didn't actually finish that. Shoot, I thought it was running. We gotta wait. You can see that it hot reloaded right away. I don't know that it'll allow us to interact immediately though. Hello, hello. Okay, so that seems to work. I guess like interaction seems to be fine. I wonder what this is all doing in the background. I guess it's the Rust bug. Like if it's still current, it doesn't need to redo it. All right, let's click this. I didn't see anything. Let's open up our Safari and check this. We're getting the hello from debug. Do we have a like context window? Because I thought it would like shake. Don't see anything here. Like the button appears to be clicking. Here we can also do this. Console.log Haptic King. Now we also need to move that up a little bit so y'all can see. Haptic King, sure. All right, so now when we click this, we should see in our console where we're hitting it. We don't have any issues there. So it must be doing some things. Do we have a way to view that though? Or like monitor if those things have happened? Toggle appearance. I don't see anything in there. Close the log stuff. I don't really care about any of that. All right. I don't see anything. Can't you connect to simulator to Xcode to see native errors? That sounds like what I want to do. Do you know how to do that? So this is Xcode, isn't it? Open Xcode. Is this not Xcode? Like I thought that like it literally says Xcode on the top there, right? Xcode. I think that is Xcode. Or at least it says it in the corner. So unless there's some other window in Xcode that you want me to open, I think I have it open. Devices and simulators, touch bar, debug. Attached process. Oh boy. Okay. Ooh. Got an update. Okay. Oh, all right. Okay. We can go ahead and do that. Yes, fine. Give me access, whatever. It shows a little stoppy symbol now. So I assume something's connected. But attack. Oh, it's doing things. It's just not fast. This actually this might potentially help us too with that scan thing. Our button's still there. We can try it, but I don't see anything else happening. So what if I hit this? Nothing. It appears to be attached though. What are all these little symbols? Waiting for the application to use a metal device. Metal. It's the little things in life, right? Debug memory graph, environment overrides. I don't feel like, I mean, some of this is definitely just I'm not used to this, but also discoverability is not terribly high in my with my uses here. Reload console, hide debug workflow, view memory. We can simulate location. That's kind of fun. Like all these are grayed out, and I don't know if that's a. I don't need to do a build. Like it does seem like it's connected to it though. Oh. So I think potentially like through somewhere in here we can connect to it. X, how do you say that? Xcron, sim, CTL, spawn, device UID, log, stream, predicates, process equals app. And that will spawn. Is that going to spawn a new instance? Is that any different than like how we've connected it so far? Because like it seems like it's connected. It has the little stop sign. Stop the running scheme or application. So if I hit this, I'm guessing that would stop. Can't find after the update. Did you update to 16? Because that was I was like I was like, oh yeah, let's try this. And then I went to install this morning. I'm like, oh, yeah, 16 came out. I hope there's no weird breakages. We haven't really had too much, honestly. I think most of this is lack of experience with the tooling. Services. Activity monitor? What's activity monitor? Oh? Huh? Okay. It's thinking. It's thinking pretty hard. It is so this is a M1 error. It is basically just outputting via HDMI. So I got the full CPU. It's like, I mean, M1s are pretty solid, honestly. But it's not doing any of the streaming, so it's got the full access to stuff. But I don't think that is for the simulator. I could be wrong. Delete. I don't care about that. I think that is just for with the next code. To find your device UID, you can type. I shall wait. You can't write commands in the chat. Yeah, it I don't have any moderation happens. YouTube does it. I have no visibility into it. So like if it's killing comments, I have like I mean it's nice that I don't have to worry about trolls or whatever. But also folks try to drop stuff in the chat and I literally can't see it. And I can't do anything about it as far as I can tell. It just happens. Okay, there's also like this is the device UDID. Is it here? Like is it one of these? I'm assuming it's one of these, right? So we're on the Pro. Is this the UDID? Yeah, okay. So if we would open up a separate terminal here, let's just go over to this. Whoop, whoop, stop highlighting. And we say, so that's going to be our UDID. I might just type it out. My chat window on my Windows box. I don't have I didn't open up anything YouTube related on this computer, so I can read your chat. I can't copy or paste from it. It's fine. Spawn this and log stream predicate process equals app. And that kind of appears to be what it's doing here, right? It's filtering log data using subsystem. So like it's doing something. If I hit this again, am I getting any logs anywhere? Look at, oh, get did not find a match for UID 501. And it says it here too. Did not find a match for UID 501. What was the other? I guess the other one's just grabbing the UDID. Interesting. Like it seems like it's connected. So after you run that, do you get does it show up in Xcode to where you get this little like stop button? So before I attached it to the process, it only showed the start button or the play button, whatever you wanna call it. It appears like it's attached, but I don't know enough about iOS simulator. Xcode C haptics. How to check if haptic. Okay, well, no, that's not what I want. Monitor. Okay. This is not what I'm hoping for. View haptic feedback on screen. Okay. In Xcode, open developer tool accessibility. I don't know that's what we need, but accessibility inspector, it could be. So now, space toggles inspection pointer. Oh, option space. Okay. Button. Actions, press. But no feedback. Interesting. That's very interesting. So we can view it. I mean, this is pretty cool. Show menu. Press. I think it's reading. It's doing the I don't have sound on. I don't think it was transmitting sound. Hopefully it didn't blow out your eardrums. I think it was doing the screen reader thing and reading over it. I think you have native errors, but they're not seems to be logged into your main terminal. Yeah, and let's see. So we're not seeing anything here. If we're getting an error, we wouldn't be completing. So, presuming that's the case, if I click this, it says hapticing and then hapticing done. So I would assume that we're not getting any errors because I would guess that these would throw. In Xcode, click debug. Debug and hover over the attached process. Yes. So that's what I did. When you were looking up your stuff and updating when you're updating your version of Xcode, that's what I did. I did attached process and I clicked mobile. See, you can see it says, I don't know if you can read that, but it says already being debugged. So this instance is attached as far as I can tell to the simulator. But it can can be catched into the Rust code and not be dispatched to the channel message bus run between. Yeah, so I'd assume that stuff shows up here. Here, this would be a good test. Let me close the accessibility manager. Let's hit scan. Yeah, it's attached. We're getting an error, and actually, this is way more helpful than before. So, this has been a good exercise because now we know that it found a nil while unwrapping an optional value. That is way more helpful than what it was before. Interesting. So if we actually go into, is it? Formats. Does it really not like, how do I continue past the breakpoint? Where's the button for it? Swift, no selection, thread, start, stop. Can I just press it again? I guess we'll find out. Scan. No, can't. Did this stop? No. Where's the continue button? Ah, here we go. Okay. Continue program execution. Can we just run to end? Step into, step out. Just explode. Finish. Is there really not like a run to end? All right, goodbye. Come back. Press stop. Is that gonna? Okay, that did. So then I'll just have to reattach, right? Okay. So that is that. That shows up debug. And then I guess I need to reattach this Xcode debug and attach to process mobile. There we go. And now when we hit scan again, yeah, so there's something funky here. So we got this AV metadata object type. And then it appends. So I wonder if there's something with scan self scan unexpectedly found a nil while unwrapping an optional value. Yeah, so there's something funky right there, but I don't really feel like I need to debug that a whole bunch. We do want to see if we can get any more information out of. So we have found that it is attached. If we're hitting an error in Swift, we should see it here, right? That much I think we've confirmed. If we now go into debug and attach to process mobile, it attaches to the process here, right? So it's got that stop thing. And then when we hit scan, it's clearly hitting an error here where like we're getting an error. So we know that if we're going to run into an error on the Swift side of things, that will happen. So if we now go back and click this button again, we're not getting that, right? So it stands to reason that with, gosh, I wish these things would just reconnect every time. There's got to be a way to do this. If we press the haptic button, it's saying hapticing and then hapticing done. And the code we have here would imply to me that it is completing. And we're just not being able to, like, we're not seeing it, or we're not seeing the, like, we're not monitoring it in any way that we can view it. You can do the same thing with Android and Android Studio. Yeah, we did. So back when this hit like alpha, I think I had Amr on the stream and we went through Android on Windows. I think that was actually the first time. I think it was the first time that we did, or at least that Amr did Android on Windows. And we got it all working, and we got it all set up, and it was working. There was some rough edges, if I do recall. We were on like PR and inline code changes to get it to work, but it was like when it first was coming out, we had it running. You're thinking it's dispatched to the JS side? I'd be surprised if that was the case, because I would expect to see it here, right? And if we were seeing an error in the Rust side of things, I would, like, between these three things, I'm not seeing any actual error. I think it's actually working. That's my suspicion. I think it's working, and I think we just don't see it actually working. I just realized that there's like a PID monitor here too. That's kind of cool. Can't trust your JS code. I mean, especially the JS code that we wrote. But I mean, we're getting the logs saying that it's starting and it's finishing. So I'd assume that, and like all of the the vast majority of plugins are basically doing an invoke. So you're really, if you're using a plugin directly and you're just firing off that code, you're not really going to get any errors in JavaScript. They're going to end up showing up in Rust, which attempts to force you to handle all those cases. So if that was the case, I would expect to see something like in the terminal or something. I think it's working. Can we see? Here we go. Let's say Xcode simulator haptics. The iOS simulator and Xcode. I mean, how much do we trust Google AI? Yeah, that was the other bit that I was wondering. How much do we trust AI? But I also think, like I don't need it to be a real physical vibration. I just want to know that it happened. I don't know that we can specifically trust it. Yes, just don't trust AI, exactly. But this is definitely not a trust but verify. This is I don't trust you, but I'm going to also verify. I think it might be the case though. Yeah, like here. Should support haptic feedback. I think that this is going to be a common situation. I know on or it's just a silent error. Yeah, like it might just be basically no whopping. You fire it off and it just says, yeah, okay, cool. I think it's working. I know from what I recall of like in here you can simulate a shake. So like we can do a shake, or we can press the lock button, or the home button, and those work. I want to say that Android shows you on the screen if you know, like when you shake it or if it receives a vibration. I'm wondering if iOS is just the simulator doesn't support that. I have a suspicion, but it appears to be working. So I guess like that being said, I don't know that there's anything else that's really worth digging into and trying. We've gone through a lot, and we've gotten into a bunch of the plugins. We've looked at the plugins and like implementing or modifying them or changing them. We have figured out how to, you know, with Bastion, you've been a big help. Thank you. We figured out how to get Xcode attached to the process so we can see failures there, so we're not getting this gobbledygook of errors, and we see the actual like Safari DevTools. Yeah, and I think we've basically hit the limitation of what you can do with the simulator. So like in all honesty, is it worth like when you're doing dev, you can run it and see what it looks like in the simulator, right? I don't know that I want to right now wire it up with a device, but I now kind of understand why I see folks that are doing iOS dev doing that. Because the simulators are limited enough that the things that you would want to try that are very much iPhone specific doesn't seem to be supported in the simulator. So you could hook up a device, you could check it in there. But like if you're developing a Tauri app, functionally it works in potentially multiple other environments. Is it worth like even setting it up and running it? Like if I develop all my app stuff on, like if I'm doing a desktop app and a mobile app, say, I think I would say develop the desktop app, use a browser, or use debug through the Tauri app itself, and then just check it on a physical device. Yeah, the best way is to have an iOS device and connect it. So like, part of me is just like, maybe I'll open it up and just check a couple different, like physical breakpoints and make sure it looks nice. But as far as like functionality goes, like hook up a iOS, it feels like the right answer. Because folks tend to upgrade them relatively often. So I feel like you have to worry less about, a wide range of the like software support. It's kind of what I'm feeling like. Alexi, you say you have no idea why your Tauri Android is not working. You checked the devlogs in Chromium. The path to Nuxt was strange. You fixed it, but there's still widescreen. Every time you get different errors, are you able to? So here, we can do this test here now. I've got it running, right? We have a few things running. We have Vite running, and we have the cargo build that fires up Xcode and does all the extra stuff. Does it actually say it anywhere? It might say when you first start it. Here, we can go, like Vite is running this, right? And you've got Nuxt. You've got Nuxt. So whatever Nuxt path is coming up, you should be able to just hit that in the browser. That probably would be the first thing I would check if you're like really looking for things to try out. You should be able to hit that. Now we're getting an error here because this is being built for and being run and expecting. Here, I can click on it. Maybe it'll be a little bit more obvious. We're asking for permission. That's the error it's hitting. If I took that out, it would load. So you could try that. I would just double check to make sure that it's like loading somewhere else in a different context to sort of eliminate if this is a setup issue with your Android simulator or if this is something else. It might make the area more obvious. The other part of it is if it is some other error, it would be nice for you to be able to see that in Android Studio, right? So you check the devlogs in Chromium, so that's working. The path to Nuxt was strange. I think I would look at the attachment piece next. Well, if it's not loading in your browser, honestly, that would be the first thing I would try. Because if you're getting like a white screen, presuming you're not immediately doing on app open some native work, I would expect that you could just visit the page and it should load. If it's not loading, it's probably something like leading up to that point where the app itself, it loads in the browser, but not in emulator. Okay, that's good. Yeah, so then I would say, I think what Bastion is going for would be the way to go, is you can attach to it, but you're not getting any error in the DevTools, right? So if you're not getting any error in the DevTools in Chromium, that tells me that it's not something to do with it tells me it's loading in the browser. You're not seeing any errors in the DevTools in Chromium. Did you try just like reloading the app? So the if I make a change in the front end, it does the hot reload, right? So I could do let's take off this reload again. Trying a hot reload. If I make this change, it immediately updates. If that's annoying. I keep accidentally clicking that. If I want to do a change in the Rust side of things, it does a rebuild. And then I have to like manually restart the app. Or at least I haven't figured out a better way to do that. So we do this, and we are going to get updates here, and then I'll have to like do an actual hard reload. If it was working before, I would presume that security, like it's not a strange security role issue. You were getting a 500 error for index and something else. Do you have clear text enabled in Android activity? What would that do? It feels to me like it's something with Nuxt in the communication there through Android. Sometimes it blocks traffic. Interesting. Yeah, Do you have anything loading? So if you go into the like DevTools in Chrome, is it a white page as in like your index.html is not even loading? I don't think actually I have Android in the Android Studio set up on here, so I don't really want to do that right now. The Nuxt loader is visible, and when it should show a page, it's widescreen. Do you have Nuxt does SSR, right? Is it as like a static generated version of your page? SSR is turned off. I mean, I guess if it worked before, then that wouldn't have been an issue either. I'm running out of ideas. Best way to check would be to append it to check your logs with ADB and logcat. So you're thinking, Bastion, that it's something to do with, like something is blocking, or that like communication is being interrupted there, which is why it's not loading. Do you get an actual error? So you said you got a 500 error. Are you still getting that 500 error? I would guess that, yeah. The annoying thing is that now we've got logs in like 4 different places. So see if there's an error, check the logs. Yeah, but like, which one? I don't know that there's a great way to make that better either. Yeah. It feels like it's something down that track. You've eliminated all the, I don't want to say easy mistakes, but like the obvious things. It was working. is now not working. It seems to be loading in the browser. It is not loading in Android. The page is arriving, but you're getting some error when it actually goes to navigate. Yeah, it's not easy when you start development on native platforms with web views. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of logs, different places, trade-offs, right? The ability to ship to multiple platforms is great. You're not playing in their ecosystem though. So when you start playing in their closed garden, you have to play by their rules. And I don't know if there's really not a. I mean, honestly, like I feel like this experience is decent, especially with the trade-offs that you have to make with the simulator. I would probably, if I would be doing this more often, I would probably look to get a physical device hooked up. And that might actually be something that I would say too for Android. And that, like, thanks for bringing this up, Alexi. And Bastion too. Yeah, it feels like getting it all wired up and working with the simulator is a little bit of a pain. And even if you can get all that working, if the simulator doesn't support it, like it's still not the real thing. So it's just error coding to response body. Weird. Could you share a screenshot of that? And I don't know if you're in the Discord, in the Tauri Discord, but we have a, oh, you say clear text? I've got a thread in the showcase forum channel. Feel free to drop a screenshot in there. We can maybe take a quick peek. But Bastion seems pretty well set on it being a clear text error. Yeah, like I almost say the simulator is nice for like quick checks or whatever. But honestly, if I'm doing this for more than like 20 minutes at a time, or you know, did you implement any? I don't think you would need to. I feel like any HTTPS locally is just heavy sigh. Yeah, it's worth just double checking. Especially since it's a response body issue. Yeah, if you're in the Tauri Discord, feel free to drop a screenshot or something in that thread. Can maybe take a peek. But otherwise, I don't have any other immediate things to try. It seems like we've narrowed it down pretty much to that though, and I really feel like it's just if I'm going to be doing mobile dev, I would want a physical device, at least with iOS. It feels like, because the things that I would want to test, I'm not going to be able to do that with the simulator. Like I can make it appear in a web view, but like I can check that web view in many places. I'd rather check it in places with better tooling. Having to open up like each one of those things every time is really sort of a pain. So I don't know. I just would say develop it in a browser within the desktop Tauri app and then try the native APIs when you're done. That feels like the best way to me. But I think so what I was going to say is I want to do the Android version of this. Probably not next week, but maybe in a couple weeks. I gotta double check my schedule, but I want to do an Android version of this before the close of the year. Let's put it that way. And I should be able to find a device. It might be an old one that we can hook up and give both a simulator and a real device. Because that would be fun to try. And we should be able to like get something working. It's nice. It's nice to use the simulator when I'm streaming. Because ta-da. But also, if nothing works, it's just a square. I can make my I can do this too. Like, ta-da. Now I have an iPhone. So I don't know. It's worth it to check. It's cool to see. But honestly, if I was doing this for longer term, I would try a physical device. From what I remember of the Android simulator, I don't feel like I ran into as many gotchas or like things that didn't support. But we also didn't try a whole bunch of plugins and stuff like this. So, I think that's about it. Do we have any? Yeah. I mean, Alexi, feel free to drop something in that showcase channel. If anything, curious to see the error, because I suspect that could be something I could run into at some point. But I don't think there's anything else really worth diving into, honestly. We tried a bunch of plugins. We hit all the limitations of the simulator, it feels like. We looked at how they're sort of wired up and how you could pull in a plugin into your own code base and start working on something. So like the Firebase cloud messaging SDK. And we gotta, I mean, I think this is probably going to be the best debugging experience you can get. Like, I don't know that there's anything else we could do to make this situation better. Definitely stand to be corrected, but like, we get errors and we see exactly where it is. I don't know that there's a good way to actually go in and like, I don't think we can change any of this, right? Well, maybe we can. I don't know how like hot reload any of this is. So that would maybe be a future stream, would be if we're going to look at iOS and Android dev, specifically with plugins and plugins upstream, what does it look like to run into an issue on a plugin that is like a published plugin that's you're grabbing from upstream, and you need to debug and understand what the issue is and potentially be able to implement a fix locally to test it. Like, what does that process look like? I think that could be a continuation of like what we've hit here, but up into that, I think we've hit on everything. Like, this is a decent enough experience, and I would probably try a physical device if we would go any further for actual dev. Yeah, so we'll do not next week, I don't think. Because everybody's gonna want my attention coming back from vacation, but maybe the week or after that or the week following, we'll find a date, and with that we will go through the Android, and I'll do my best to get a physical device working and hooked up, and then in the interim, I think we'll potentially do some local first stuff again. We'll have to see. I've been like, I tell you, Black Friday, that's been hard on my wallet. got a bunch of cool stuff, but also Oof. Could I try to run it on Next? Yeah, I guess I don't see why not. Is there do we have a cargo? Shoot, what is that? Do we have a create Tauri app for Next? I don't think we do anymore, do we? Chris, iOS development, yes. We found the simulator lacking. that was the ultimate conclusion. But we made we tested a bunch of stuff, that's for certain. Here, let's is there a Next starter on here? I honestly don't know offhand. This. Sure. No, we don't anymore. So we might have to manually hook something up. Yeah, fair low. Yeah, I think if I would have thought about it, I would have grabbed the iPad and tried to get that hooked up. But I'm already in two PCs. Well, not PCs. One streaming PC and then my Mac. So I didn't need more complexity. But with Android, we'll try to do a physical device. I think that would make the experience better because I'm guessing some of the errors we were hitting were because like the simulator didn't have a camera, and sometimes or some of the things we were running into were just like it didn't seem like it actually worked. But I think it was just no opping. I'm less worried about the requests and the networking stuff, honestly, because I've got experience with that. We can make that happen. That's not a big deal. I'm at home on my own network, so I can we can make that happen. But it'll be nice to kind of go through that and see what that looks like. And I've got Android devices that we can do that on. Nice. Build on Tauri 2 and SvelteKit. Is there a... I would say we have the Svelte starter. I feel like there's a discussion on SvelteKit too. Also, thanks for stopping by. Because folks are kind of like switching to SvelteKit as the like default base starter, right? I feel like there was a discussion on that, and I don't know that it went anywhere, but yeah, a bunch of people are doing stuff on Svelte. I did see, I shared it on Blue Sky. Somebody made it wasn't like FFmpeg, but it was a GIF creator basically with a Tauri app and Svelte. Seemed pretty nifty. I think Alan, who stopped by earlier, I don't know if you're still around. I think you actually might have retweeted it first, which is how I noticed it. Right? I don't know. Either way, yeah, nice. Okay, I think that's kind of gonna be where we call it. Again, upcoming Android stream at least, and I need to figure out what we do in the interim. There's lots of options, but some of them might take a little bit of work to get into. And I've again, my whole setup has changed everywhere, so like, I need to recuperate from all these changes. I changed my monitor, so now everything on my desk is shifting around, and it I need to I think I need to rotate my camera a little bit, but there's never ending list of things to do. Lewis, thanks for stopping by. We're just on our way out, actually. Feel free to zoop. Actually, wrong way. The noises make it better, right? That's a rewind noise for the folks that remember what that is. Yeah. thanks for stopping by, Besh, and thanks for all the help. We'll do an Android coming up here, and yeah, I'll figure out what what we're gonna do next week, and hopefully with some of this vacation I have here over the next month, we can get out some more videos. I kind of would like to do some starter stuff with now that we've gone through a bit of the Android or excuse me, some of the iOS stuff. I would like to get a little video out on that, but I'm not making any hard promises because I also need to take a break. Actually use my vacation time for relaxing. But, you know, this is fun. This is fun. So, thanks for stopping by, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. Happy Tuesday. See you next. Bye.